speed. I am speed. One winner, 42 losers. I eat losers for breakfast. Faster than fast, quicker than quick. I am lightning.
Hey, Lightning, you ready?
NASCAR is America's sport. And in the South, in places like North Carolina, drivers are raised on ovals, short tracks, late models, and dirt, with hopes of one day becoming a NASCAR driver. But for Conor Zilisch, the journey to NASCAR took an unexpected route. Instead, his path followed another direction, one that usually leads towards Formula One, go-kart racing.
And I went over there with no expectations, and I ended up winning the world championship. Nobody knew who I was, and my team never expected it out of me. Like, they were giving me the C-class stuff. Like, they were just giving me a cart and a motor and said, here, go figure it out, and I ended up winning.
Few could have imagined that this North Carolina kid would travel across Europe, racing the best in the world, only to return home with an opportunity in NASCAR. Conor's talent surfaced early. In his rookie season, he dominated, setting new records in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
I don't think anybody, even myself, had expectations for me to go out and win 10 races. It was eye-opening to figure out what my ceiling was.
Now, lining up with the sport's elite, past champions, proven veterans, Conor is on a mission to set a new record and become the youngest NASCAR Cup Series champion in history.
We started having meetings at the beginning. They were like, we want you to become the youngest Cup champ. I've wanted to work towards, and you know, I've gotten closer every year, but now I'm here, and now it's just go out and do it.
Gypsy gang, welcome Conor Zilisch to the podcast.
I met a gypsy.
You got me?
Yeah, I got you. You got me?
Yeah, the boys, Parker and Jeremy, have been saying like, oh, you got to get Conor on. And I was like, dude, I'm in. And good mates with SVG.
Yeah, Shane.
So
yeah.
we go way back. You know, he's a pretty good dirt bike rider.
I saw some videos recently.
Actually rips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he loves everything. It's cool. He's a good dude.
He's one of those, I mean, much like yourself, but a very ambidextrous driver, rider, just a full
does everything.
rev head.
Yeah.
Did you see the races that he does in New Zealand when
Dude,
he's home?
I want to like fly down there and do it. He in his backyard, like at his house, he has because he lives on like a farm basically.
Yeah.
And he has like a bunch of shit boxes that he goes out and races, and it's sick.
I love when guys that are at the highest level, and you would know guys like this, the very last thing that they want to do is drive a car.
Yeah.
Let alone an absolute piece of shit.
There's a lot of guys that don't, but Shane's just like, he loves it.
I feel like, you know, Max is one of those guys, you're one of those guys, Shane's one of those guys, and you see dudes that are at the top, they just like to steer shit.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's refreshing when you see that because, a lot of guys, they're out.
Yeah. No, I love everything. Like, that's just the way I've always been. And I mean, that's part of why I'm even here. So yeah, it's sick. Shane's a good dude. It's cool being teammates with him and getting to know him.
Yeah. What's the experience being his teammate like?
Honestly, like, he's just such a down to earth guy, and he's like on the back end of his career. So he always is willing to help. And for me, I'm so young and fresh into this stuff. Having a guy like him who is willing to help and give advice and be someone to lean on, it's cool. And he's also, he's learning at the same time. He's not been racing ovals for, he's never raced ovals other than some of the dirt stuff he's done back home. But, he's just such an open book and someone that I can talk to all the time. And then also, like, even away from the track, a guy that I'm friends with. So, we have a good relationship, and he's a cool dude.
It's not always like that. We had Cooper Webb in here, and he was talking about when he and Jeremy Martin were teammates at Star early in their career. His team manager, Jeremy Martin would sit, he had his own easy up, his own crew, never came into the semi, would just walk around, get on his bike, and Coop had the whole semi. And then the team owner was like pitting them against each other saying, can you believe that J-Mart said this about you? But those personality types, like, that's what kind of pushed them, But dude, what a stressful situation compared to just having a super chill Kiwi dude that's just down to help,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you never know I mean, you don't choose your teammate, so that's the thing. When you get good ones, you're grateful for it because, I've had some where it's like that and they are so competitive that they don't want to be friends. And that, some cases that works and it pushes both you guys to be better. But, when we're racing 38 weekends a year and you can't even get along with the guy that you're traveling with each week, it's tough. So, I'm lucky to have good dudes around me.
It's no different to just hating someone at your job. Like someone that works a 9 to 5 and they just got to get in the truck with a dude every day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's good to have people you like around you.
What's up, Gypsy Gang? I'm so stoked to announce my new flannel with Dixxon. You can check the link in the description below or head to Dixxon.com. But we've been working on this for about a year now. I picked all the colors, I picked the design, I picked the patterns, and it's finally alive. If you've worn Dixxon flannels before, you know that they are the best flannels that you can buy. And if you've never had the privilege of owning a Dixxon flannel of your own, this is about as good as an excuse as you will ever have. I've been wearing this flannel all through Japan. I've been wearing it on the podcast. It's well and truly wear tested. Remember, head to Dixxon.com, click the link in the description to cop the all-new Gypsy Tales signature Dixxon flannel. So you're here for Supercross. Never been to a race before, but you're a two-wheel guy.
Yeah. I've always everything from, Supercross, Moto, MotoGP, even watching those guys. I just have so much respect for everything two-wheel because it's so crazy watching what those guys do. It's a completely different form of motorsport to what, I'm used to. And I've never done it, but it's always been something I've respected and those guys have like balls to go out there and do that stuff, anything two-wheel. So, that's, I've just always found that to be so neat.
Have you been to any MotoGPs?
No, I haven't. So,
Dude,
but
year.
I've wanted to go to the Austin race and
38 races.
Yeah, we race every weekend.
Yeah, you don't.
So
have much
it's like finding a weekend to go do it. But I race for Trackhouse and Trackhouse has a MotoGP team. So I've gotten to meet their riders and then I've also followed it a little bit more because of that. Because the team that I race for has a team in MotoGP. So. It's cool. I mean, man, those guys 220 miles an hour on a bike, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. I feel pretty comfortable on four wheels with a full cage around me. I can't imagine, getting used to that feeling of being on a bike at over 200 miles an hour.
You should get on the back one.
Those ride-alongs, they do the ride-alongs. That's something I got to do.
Would you do it?
I would do it 100%.
Dude, some people say absolutely not, and other people are like, I would do it.
I would 100% do it.
I got forced into doing it a few years ago with Jack Miller, and we grew up together.
Okay.
And I get on the back, and he's like, I'm fully prepared to crash right now. We were the last one of the day. He was with Ducati. I was a Ducati ambassador. All the Ducati guys like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
It's fine, dude. Just if you throw it away, you throw it away. And we did, normally you do it's basically an outlap and then you pull back into the pits because they don't want people going down the straight.
Yeah.
We got to 287 kilometers, but it was just aero because I was up. So the wind was hitting me and not. So you just don't get the right aero effect to actually keep going.
Yeah.
But the thing's just wedged.
Yeah.
And we did 4 laps, bro.
That's no joke.
Man, there was one kind of slow right-hander, and I'm like, I could just jump off here. If I jumped off right here, I'd actually be fine, and this nightmare would end. But I tell people, dude, it was like a religious experience. It was just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And I've been a MotoGP fan my whole life, and you can't experience it or you can't imagine what it's like until you do it. And I'm sure that's what I've talked to Ricardo about this. That's kind of what downforce feels like.
Yeah.
When you're in a like an F1 car or something that has thousands of pounds of downforce.
Yeah.
And then you just tip that, you brake at the 50 and then you tip that thing in.
Yeah. I've had that same experience. The first time I drove a prototype.
Yep.
Just the first time you like actually push it and feel like what it's like. Like I remember it was Daytona, and I went to turn one. You go like 190 down the straight, and like you hit the brake, and that was like, it was like my head almost went through the windshield. Like I just didn't
No.
expect it. Like it was an eye-opening experience, like feeling that for the first time. And like that's one of the things, like MotoGP, like riding on the back of the bike. That's something I would definitely want to do.
Trackhouse. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I need that.
That's a cool little social piece. I think we should probably figure that out.
Yeah, I know. I feel like Red Bull someone could make that happen.
You know people that
Yeah,
could definitely.
I feel like I've got enough connections. I can make that happen one day.
What about downforce in turns? Is that a similar kind of?
Yeah, it is. It's such a weird philosophy because downforce, the faster you go, the more downforce you have. So understanding that is one of the craziest things as like a race car driver. And I remember I was 17 when I first got in the prototype for my first 24 hours of Daytona, and there's the bus stop at Daytona where it's like the only high speed corner there. But I remember my teammate, who's Christian Rasmussen, he's an IndyCar driver, really good. And I was like just 3 or 4 tenths off in the bus stop every lap, and I couldn't understand why. Like I was like, man, I feel like I'm on the limit. But there was one lap I just drove it in, and like I was like, I'm not gonna slow down to what I've been doing. And the car sticks, and that feeling of like the faster you go, the more grip you have. It's so hard to understand and accept, but like when you finally realize it, it's pretty crazy, And even in NASCAR, like those cars aren't, they don't have F1 downforce, but they have like an underbody, and they make downforce, and it's the same concept. The faster you drive it, the more grip you're gonna have, and you just got to find the limit of that. But yeah, that's one of the coolest things, like understanding the actual physics of what you're driving, and understanding that makes you better and makes you faster, and it's just hard to kind of wrap your head around sometimes.
Yeah, it's like you have to be able to intellectualize the physics and then convince your brain to go and break the things that you think can't be done.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like it was an eye-opening experience the first time I drove a true downforce car, and just understanding like what the actual limits are versus what you think they are.
And imagine, you think about an F1 car that loses grip under max downforce.
Yeah.
How hard they must be pushing
Yeah.
to break traction on a car that just has thousands and thousands of pounds of air pushing down on it.
Yeah, like the guys, Max and all those guys, they are just absolute animals. Like just, oh my gosh, I felt downforce, but like F1 is just like completely different level, and what those guys do, and their bodies, how much they train, and their necks and everything, man, like it's a whole new level, and that's Max is like the best. He is so good at what he does, and it's cool to watch what he does.
Did you watch his first race at Nürburgring?
The GT car?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I saw what he did. But yeah, that's the thing. He loves, anything with the steering wheel. Like he's gonna drive it, and I can't wait to see what he does like after his F1 career, what he wants to do, and yeah, it'll be cool to see what he does.
I just got home and opened YouTube on the TV. Bang, it was right at the start. It was one of just like the most fluky things, and I just locked in and watched like the first 2 hours of that race.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
And there's just guys that spend their whole career basically learning that circuit, that track. You see there's so many really cool sim races that the sim guys find the limit to those tracks because there's no consequences.
Yeah.
And they can just put in thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. And then you see like Jimmy Broadbent and all the sim guys just reacting to his actual real life lap, being like, oh my God. And when you have guys that are professionally break those limits on those tracks in the sim, and they're just like, this guy's unbelievable. Like, that's pretty cool, you know, like to blend like ultimate reality with actual reality.
Yeah. That's one thing. Like, oh man, like he's on the sim so much, Max is, but like it's incredible what he does like in real life and how much time he spends behind the wheel, whether it's iRacing and on the sim or whatever he's doing. He's so good at everything he does, and yeah, it's everybody respects him for it, and he's definitely one of the best to ever do it.
Well, that I was literally going to say, is there a way to quantify who is the best driver of all time? Like he kind of, I mean, we obviously have recency bias, but Max Verstappen has to be the best driver ever.
Yeah, that's one of the ultimate debates in all of our sport is how do you compare some like different disciplines and say who actually is the best. But if there is an argument, I mean, he has made every case for himself to be the best, and I think it'll really show after his F1 career, because people in F1, the fans always say, oh, it's all the car, but the last job I would ever want in motorsport is to be Max Verstappen's teammate, because every single guy who has become his teammate has gotten fired and lost their job within a year or two, and at least recently. And I feel like that just shows how good he truly is. They could be developing the car to him and helping make the car suit him, but still, like it's insane how every guy who becomes his teammate never even comes close to comparing to him.
Massive job.
Yeah.
Yuki was probably like, no,
Yeah.
let me stay. Yeah. I don't want to go.
I know exactly. When he got hired to Red Bull, he's like, man, maybe this V-Carb thing isn't that bad. But
and the V-Carb car was like
not bad.
Beating the Red Bull car at that point in time too. But yeah, I mean, it's just, and again, to have a guy that loves driving that much, that is the best. Like, I don't know. To me, he's just so cool in that sense, and there's no bullshit, there's no bravado, there's no as much as I like the other stuff, like I love the fashion side of it, I love what those guys bring, but he is just the most like he's just a knife. That's it. It's just a tool to get the job done. And he's just the sharpest one.
It's I went to dinner with him in Texas one time with SVG. Shane's buddies with him because they iRaced together. And Shane invited me to dinner with them. We were down there for a Red Bull event, and it was cool, like getting to me, Shane, Max, and one or two other guys, just listen to him talk he's, everybody sees what he does, and you sit down with him in behind closed doors, and he's just another normal guy that loves racing. And it was cool to see that and get to talk to him. And, Shane's obviously, friends with him from the COVID days when everybody was spending 8 hours a day on iRacing. And it was cool to just talk to him and get to hear, just another normal guy that loves to race. And, he's definitely not what people think he is. People can say things about him, and but he's literally just down to earth, chill, good dude.
When I say great minds think alike, SVG and Max are just the same dude. The same dude. Yeah. One's Dutch and one's a Kiwi, but they're just the same.
They are.
They're just the same guy.
Yeah, it was cool to listen to the two of them, because they literally are. They just love racing, and they're normal dudes that they're not there to do anything but drive. And if nobody was watching, they wouldn't care. They just love to race.
Yeah. And there's a lot of guys. I always think about Valentino and Casey Stoner. Two guys doing the same sport, the same thing at a very similar level. Valentino was like, give me the fans, give me the love, the merch, the whole, I want a whole stadium dedicated to me and my performance. And that's awesome. And that's so cool in its own way. And then you just look over that direction, and then there's Casey Stoner that's like, I don't want any TV here. I don't want any fans here. I'd barely want, there's too many people on the team. Just give me the bike and let me race. And he's not just saying that. It's just genuinely, that's what he would prefer. And there's both of those personality types rose to the top of the sport. And you've kind of, that's kind of almost what Max is like. He's like, dude, just I don't need none of this
Yeah.
shit. Just give me the car, let me race. I want to be the best, and then I'll go home. And if
Yeah.
I'm not the best, I'll work harder. And if I am the best, I'll still go home and work harder.
No, that's just how he is. They just want to race, and they're there to race, and it's hard to find that as a racer. Like, it's hard to find that balance. What do you want to be? And you gotta attend to the fans, and people gotta like you to be successful. But at the end of the day, teams don't care. At some point, teams don't care how good you are with fans if you're not winning and doing your job. So yeah, that's something that you got to deal with every day as a driver, picking out who you're going to be.
Hey, how do you navigate that? You're so young and so early. What's your viewpoint on the best way to do it in the big 2026?
Yeah, I try not to let it get in the way, but I love the idea of people liking me, and like 10 years ago, I don't come from a racing family. I'm first generation, so a lot of the kids I'm racing against and a lot of the people getting these same opportunities as I have been in the sport for a long time, from their families and whatnot, and they know it more than I do. So the fact that people like what I'm doing and are willing to buy a T-shirt with my name on it, like, that stuff is so cool to me. But at the same time, like, I go to the track each week, and my job is to go out and win the race, and that's the number one priority before anything else. So it's a balance. Every driver has to deal with that, but I do love the fact that people respect me and want to follow me and support me, and I try to make as much time as possible for all those people, whether it's going out to the merch hauler and doing autograph sessions, or signing for fans after the race or in victory lane, whatnot. I definitely think it's valuable. At least for me, I think it's valuable, stuff to do when you're attending to those people who are willing to support you.
And I mean, the fact that you're with Red Bull from such a young age, like, you're going to learn a lot about that, and you're going to have some really cool people in your corner that have helped so many great athletes from so many other sports too, from so many different industries. So, like, even just that is it's so important. you know?
It's so cool to be with Red Bull. Like, the stuff that I have been shown and
Already.
and the people I've met, the athletes I've met, whether it's cliff divers or moto guys or anything. They literally, any athlete at the top of their game, Red Bull wants to be with, and that's something that I've found to be so cool. And when I'm at F1 races with them and upstairs at the top level, they let all their athletes come up and hang out, and everywhere you look, like, there's just people that are so
Crushing
good at what they do.
Olympian.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah,
Everybody is top 1%er in the sport that they are in, and I find that so cool to be a part of that family and get to meet all those people and share stories with people who are 1%ers in what they do, and that's something that I feel is one of the coolest parts about Red Bull is the people, and the people is what make Red Bull what it is.
And so you said you don't come from a racing family. It's so hard to get to where you got to from where you got there from.
Yeah, that's 100% right. And I got, there's so many things I could look back on over the last 10 years of my career that I'm like, man, if that didn't happen, like, I wouldn't
Since
be
you were
here.
9?
Yeah, I mean, like, I started racing when I was 4.5. So
Yeah.
I've been doing it for so long, and I think
It's crazy you call it a career as a
yeah,
19-year-old.
I know. I mean, for me, it's not a job. I love what I do, so I don't consider it to be a job. But I there's so many things I could look back on. I was probably 11 when I realized, man, I could actually make a career out of this. There's so many things I could look back on and say, man, if I didn't meet that person, or if if I didn't switch to this team at this time, or there's so many things that, like, man, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be sitting where I am today and have the opportunities I have today. So it's every day I just think back to the times where I thought I was going to go to college and live the life of a normal kid, and that was 14 years old. I thought I was going to just go on and be a normal kid and go to college.
What were you going to do at college?
I don't know. I never, I never knew what I wanted to do. I always raced and I wanted to race, and that's all I really cared about. And my dad was always like, well, if this doesn't work out, you're gonna have to go, find something else to do. And for me, I never thought that was an option. Like I never got to the point where I was like, man, I'm gonna give it up. I'm just gonna, I never got that far in that thought process of thinking, man, I'm just gonna go to college. But it really all started. When my dad, Kevin Harvick, I was, Kevin Harvick, big NASCAR guy, NASCAR champion, and his son, I was racing on a go-kart team with him, and Kevin went up to my dad. He'd been watching me for a while, and I'd been helping his kid. He was probably 7 or 8 years old, so he was just getting into the swing of things, and I was coaching him, helping him out. And Kevin asked my dad, he's like, man, what's your plan with Conor? What are you going to do with him down the road? And my dad's like, well, he's going to race for another year or two, and then, he's going to go to college and be a normal kid. And Kevin's like, no, we can't do that. Like, you got to give him a shot. So Kevin helped me kind of get my foot in the door with a couple, car teams. And that's really what kind of started it for me. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, all the ways that I got to where I did. And I try not to consider myself lucky. But at some point, like I have to consider myself lucky, man.
There's so much luck involved, and I think it's like you need to find a balance as you get older between acknowledging the luck that you've had, but also the work that you put in, because it's both at the exact same time, and there's so many things in my life that I look back on and I'm like, so lucky to just be there at that time and meet that person and do that thing. But then at the same time, like you got lucky to meet Kevin, but then it's not luck that you are the type of person that wanted to help other people and ended up coaching his son, so there's such a balance between the luck and the opportunity. But if you rewind it all the way back, like no one chose to be born to the family that they were born into, and so at the end, the very bottom level, it's just like the ultimate luck.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, I was talking to Joey Logano this past year. It was probably one of my cup races before the race. He's like, man, like, I feel like I didn't know who you were 2 years ago. Like, where'd you come from? And I started telling him my story, and I was like, I told him, I was like, man, I got lucky to meet the right people. He's like, you didn't get lucky. No, you earned it.
Yeah.
It's never luck. And that kind of changed my perspective on it, because forever I was like, man, like it's crazy how I was the one that got lucky enough to do this. But, every opportunity I got, I worked hard to make the most of each opportunity and make the right impression on all the people I worked with. And those are the things that go a long way. And that's what makes the difference in the long run, is if you do that with every person you meet. And
100.
It definitely keeps the ball rolling for you, and I've tried my best, and it's gotten me this far to this point. So but yeah, it's that kind of conversation with a guy who is a 3-time champion of our sport, him telling me that, definitely made a difference to the way I thought about everything that I've done.
Yeah, and I wonder, you might not be old enough yet, but you'll also get to a point in life where the bad luck of the past turns into good luck of the future.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about the hard times in the moment differently. Like I've just had situations in my life where it was like the worst thing in the world at the time, and like I had a bit of an immigration issue. I was living here, dream life, loved everything about it. That ended. Back in Australia, started the podcast, changed my life.
Yeah,
and it's like it's in the moment, but in the moment it was like the worst thing in the world, and I was so bummed. But as you go on, and I think people that can change their perspective of the bad things in the moment to be like, well, it's just not good yet,
Yeah. No, I there's definitely a lot of things that I have. I mean, even for me this year, I win 10 races in NASCAR. We've got the playoff format, and I finished third in the last race of the year. So I lose the championship, and I had, dominated the season. And, in the moment, that's like, it sucks. Like that was heartbreaking. And, it was unbelievably tough for me to handle that. But, it motivates me so much, down the road to go get another championship. And that's one thing in my career that I've never really done is, win a championship in a series that I've raced in, and I've finished second 3 times in the last 4 or 5 years of my career, and that's something that just feeds to the hunger of wanting to go do that. So yeah, hopefully I saved the championship for the Cup Series, and one day I can say that all the championships I didn't get when I was a kid came and made this one worth it.
Oh man, and historically, there's so many people that have kind of famously not won until the big show.
Yeah.
And there is like a burning, just you burn and you burn and you burn over years to get it. Cooper Webb's like a great example of that. He spent his whole life in the shadow of Adam Cincerillo, and then he turns into a pro. And he was telling stories about guys that he was trying out for teams, and it was like a favor to people, and the team manager would just sit in the truck and just not even watch him ride. It was just like it was just ticking a box, and it's like imagine what that does to drive someone, So it's like that's a story arc that you can lean into.
Yeah,
right
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's I've never been in that situation like Cooper, but I mean the hunger of wanting to do something and all year long, especially like NASCAR. So we have the playoff format, so
which is ruthless.
It's they're changing it, and it's announced on Monday, so we'll know what the new format is.
Do you know? This won't be out before Monday.
I don't know. They haven't even told me what it is, so I have no idea.
Damn.
But it'll probably be like a chase format. So like the last 10 races of the year, the points reset for the last 10 races of the year, and then the whoever accumulates the most over that run. But yeah, the playoff format is, oh man, it's brutal. Like you race all year long, and we had 33 races in the Xfinity Series last year, and it all comes down to one race, and the pressure, and that I've never had the emotions I had before and after that race. You dominate all year long, and it comes down to one moment, and it was a unique feeling, but it's just crazy. Motorsport is not the sport where we should have a playoff. It's good in football, it's good in basketball and all the ball sports, but it was definitely tough to handle that one.
Did you follow Brock Feeney's championship?
Yeah, same thing. And I felt so bad. We went through the exact same thing, and I don't know why Supercars has a playoff either, but he's coming this weekend as well.
Yeah.
So
he's the biggest legend, bro.
Yeah, he's a good dude, and he's so good.
He's
so
unreal.
good.
You guys are very similar.
Yeah, he's young.
You got a similar story, like he kind of came not really from motorsports background. Well, his dad was more into bikes.
Yeah.
And just young and dominating, and heart ripped out of your chest in the playoffs, dude.
Same thing. Yeah, poor guy. Yeah, it's tough. It's at the end of the day, it's sport, motorsport. Like bad stuff's gonna happen, and you got to let it feed you and make you more hungry to go get the next one. But man, it broke me, and I've never been a guy that is super emotional, like getting out of the car, whatnot, and man, that one was tough. It was, the accumulation of all 33 races. You work your tail off all season long for one moment to rip it all away.
Yeah. So how did you deal with the pressure? Like, would you, honest reflection, say that the pressure just got to you in that moment, or was it racing that the race didn't go your way? Like, you can't win every race.
Yeah. It's honestly, it just, we didn't have it all weekend long. So there's 4 cars in the last race racing for the championship, and 3 of them were our team, Junior Motorsports. So we had 3 cars, and then RCR had 1 with Jesse Love. And, right away in practice, we could just tell that they were really, really good. And, he had won 1 race all year long. And, it comes down to this last race, and they hit it, and they just, whatever they had, whatever package they brought, they did it right. And it was kind of like, as soon as practice started, like I basically knew, like, man, if some miracle doesn't happen, it's gonna be really tough to beat him. And
that's rough.
Yeah, so it was pretty early on in the weekend where I knew, I wasn't defeated, but, I knew it was going to be tough and something was going to have to happen to beat him. So, come race time, it was, I led laps and I ran top 3 the whole race. But, after 25 laps in a run, he was just faster and I couldn't do anything about it. And, the race went probably 60 laps, 60 lap run to end the race, green flag. And he just drove away and just watching him drive away, as this is the championship. It was tough, but, the pressure was crazy, but it's like, as a driver, I feel like everybody who races knows the feeling of, as soon as you put your helmet on, like, it just goes away. And, building up to it, and, you walk on the stage with all 4 guys in the championship, and you're in front of all the fans, and, they're introducing you guys. And, those moments were nerve-wracking, and just knowing what the stakes were, there was definitely pressure, but as soon as the race started, it was just another race.
The supercars, I watched that because I was home at the time, actually, and I ended up watching most of the races, and it's exciting.
Yeah.
It sucks for the races, and it sucks to put him in that position, but man, I haven't watched the supercars finale in a long time, and just to be locked in for those races and to see guys drop out that were so good through the season, and you're just like, it's cutthroat, but it was entertaining to watch. But I kind of agree with you. Like, I just don't think that the playoffs should, I don't know.
It's entertaining. Like, don't get me wrong. As 3 years ago watching it, like, I loved watching it. But even nowadays, like, the fans liked it at first, but even the fans are starting to say, like, man, like, it's not true. Like, it's fabricated. And I think the true fans who have been, following the sport for a long time understand, what a true champion should be like, and how deserving, how they should get there and how they should win the championship. And fans, most fans are the ones that, the fans are the ones that made NASCAR make a change. And, they complained enough to where there was no option but to change the format.
Well, that's cool. Well, and I was just sort of thinking in my head, because I'm like, okay, well, yeah, every stick and ball sport does it, and it's obviously a thing that works. But a guy like yourself, you're 19, you've dominated Xfinity, you're a guy, it's like he's the next guy, and he can be a next great champion. And you look at all of these sports in stick and ball that have a history, like from day one they did playoffs. So you can measure every team against every other team because it's the same thing that they've always done.
Yeah, it's been the same.
And it's like it would be so hard to have another Dale Earnhardt or have those guys that were just like stacked championships, and to be able to compare them, it's almost like just 2 eras of the sport.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you can get stars in the same way, because stars are champions, like Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, LeBron James, and it's based on winning championships.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Like, I mean, the playoff format started just over 10 years ago. I think like 2013 or so. I'm probably wrong on that, but yeah, I mean, it's everybody before that, won their championships by being the best guy all year long, and, deservingly so, got there that way. And now you have guys who, Joey Logano, people say, he doesn't deserve to be a 3-time champion. And there's guys that, he's just clutch. Like, when it's time to show up, he shows up and he wins. And, that's how he's won his championships. But, every day people say he shouldn't have the same amount of championships as a guy like Jeff Gordon, and it's definitely changed the way people in our sport look at champions.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's how it should be.
I love the way that the downhill world championships work. So you've got the World Cup series, and so that's what they race. It's 8 races, I think. 10. So they do 10 races. There's a World Cup overall champion, and then they have one day where you get called the world champion by winning on that one day. And there's guys that just specialize on that one day, and there's guys that just gear up for that one day. Like, that creates such a moment.
Yeah.
I honestly think that that's a thing that could work too. You know, you give the overall champion to the guy that won the call at the regular seasons, and then you just have a playoff for all the marbles, and that guy gets a different trophy. And maybe that's where you enter a conversation where it's like, dude, Logano is the king of this.
Yeah.
He is the guy that wins the world championship on one day. He is the dude.
Yeah.
And people, you know, like, you have some bad luck in this, you start gearing up for that. It could just create a whole different dynamic as opposed to just fucking chaos.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
No, that makes sense. It's and that's one of the tough, like, when it starts changing the way people look at our sports champions, I think that's like, that's when you have to look in the mirror and be like, we got to change something. Because if people aren't accepting guys who are winning these championships, it's you know, that's when the sport loses its, you know, dignity and you know, people, that's why people stop watching it. Like guys, you know, NASCAR's audience has been just down every year the last 20 years, and a lot of it, you know, people think have to do with that. So yeah, hopefully change comes and hopefully it starts getting the sport to go back in the right direction. But yeah, it's definitely changed our sport a lot.
Akrapovich, I will say this: best built muffler for the money.
I've never owned one in my life. They fuck those things.
Dude, $1,600, dude.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, you will. You'll do it.
Damn you, Chris Kiefer. They've got one. This part fits your ride. 1,300 with shipping. All right, let's go. So now we hurry up and wait. Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, already.
That's unbelievable. That happened so fast. Because this order was over $79, it qualified for free shipping. And Kiefer was right. This might be the most well-built exhaust I've ever seen. And we wasted no time fitting it to my YZ450. The way the exhaust mounts on Yamahas is unique, but really simple. And in about 20 minutes, we have transformed the look, the sound, and the engine characteristics of this 450. All that's left to do is hit the track. As usual, Kiefer was right. The Acro took the power of the Yami and put it in all the right places. It was smooth off the bottom, but still meaty, and I loved the new exhaust note. To transform your next ride, hit the link in the description and head to motorsport.com. And right now, if you head to motorsport.com/win, you can enter their ultimate ride sweepstakes and win a YZ450F of your own. So let's go back to the karting, because that's kind of where it started for you. You raced some pretty big names now in karting.
Yeah.
What was the karting experience like?
Yeah, karting was awesome. And for me, like I have such a unique background compared to most NASCAR drivers. You know, not many guys grew up doing what I did, and a lot of them came from, you know, oval racing, whether it was dirt or asphalt. You know, that's the majority of our sport is guys who grew up doing that stuff. So nobody in NASCAR really knew who I was, you know, racing go-karts. You know, nobody ever really comes through go-karts to plan on racing in NASCAR. So karting was really cool. I spent a lot of time in Europe. You know, those were some of the coolest moments of my life. I went to Europe as a 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old. I spent a couple summers over there in between, you know, when I was not in school. I would go over there for 3 months at a time and you know, racing against guys like Kimi Antonelli. You know, I spent 3 or 4 years racing against him, and you know, obviously, I always knew he was going to make it to F1. Like I always knew he's the best driver, one of the best top 3 drivers I've ever raced against, just talent wise. So I always knew he was, you know, one of the guys that was going to make it, and then guys like Arvid Lindblad.
Yep.
He's going to race for VCARB. You know, guys that I grew up racing against. It's crazy to see, you know, that they've gone on to race in F1 and you know, that kind of thing. But karting is such a cool sport. You know, I think I didn't realize it at the time, but those days and months that I spent in Europe, without my parents, growing up, I would ride my bike to dinner alone. Those were the coolest days of my life. And I didn't realize it at the time how cool it was, but, the memories that I have of it, looking back at it, I grew up and learned so much as just a kid, and matured. And I definitely look back on those days as some of the coolest days I'll ever have.
Yeah, because you're like a 40-year-old, 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've experienced
insane.
a lot in
Yeah.
a short amount of time.
So when you say that Kimi Antonelli was one of the most talented drivers that you've ever raced against, how does that manifest in karts? Like, what do you see in him racing him in karts that can tell you that so little horsepower, no downforce,
Yeah.
but still you can see someone's talent shine?
Yeah, I think he's the guy that no matter what his setup is, no matter what the track is, no matter what the conditions are, like there's guys who just always persevere and are always at the front. And he was one of those guys that just, no matter what the situation was, if it was practice or if it was a heat race or, whatever it was, he was always at the front. And, he could just maximize his kart. And I it's funny, I have a story. He came to race in America. He did a race at Miami, and one of my best friends was teammates with him. And, him and his dad thought that it was all his motor. And so he was teammates with Kimi, and Kimi switched engines with him because the kid was like, they were like, man, it's got to be his engine. So Kimi literally switched motors with this kid. Kimi went faster and he slowed down. And that was kind of just one of the things where, it's a situation of, you don't realize how much of a difference he's actually making until you do something like that where, you just assume that it's the equipment. And for him to be like, okay, let's switch then. And they switch and Kimi goes faster. And, that's something that I've always kind of pointed to when I've thought about Kimi, is just he makes the most of everything he gets in.
What did you make of his rookie F1 season?
I mean, for his age, like
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he's got thrown. I mean, he didn't even get to race F2. Like, he just he got put in a tough spot. Or he didn't race. He raced F2, but like he's had a very accelerated path. Kind of like Max. Max was 18 years old racing in F1, and Kimi obviously is the same, but. Yeah, I feel like for his age, he's doing a really good job, and he's going to continue to get better and grow. And, it's cool Mercedes just has that trust in him at his age to go out and do it. And obviously he's been with Mercedes for a long time, and back even to the karting days, Mercedes always backed him. But, that kind of respect and trust in a kid his age definitely helps, with his confidence and getting that. But he's doing a good job. I'm happy for him, and it's cool to watch someone that live out their dream.
So, where in Europe were you staying?
It really depended. A lot of the time it was northern Italy, but I raced everywhere. Almost every single country in Europe, from Germany, all the way to Portugal, Spain, Finland, Sweden. I raced everywhere. So, we would travel. It was with me and my coach mechanic from America. We traveled over there together, and it was fun. I mean, just getting to drive through the Swiss Alps to go to a race, or go into all the different countries, and we would always Monday through Wednesday we would go and be a tourist, and then when it came to the weekend I raced every weekend. So I would it was a cool experience, and just getting to see so much of the world at a young age while doing what you love. It was very, very cool for me to be able to do that at that age.
What's going through your mind at that time as a 12-year-old kid?
I look back on it, and like I was, always on my phone, and not. I didn't take it in as much as I should have. Like I definitely didn't realize how cool it was. Like I look back on it now, and I think it's so much cooler now than I did when I was doing it. And I wish I would have appreciated it a little more. But at the same time, I like I went over there as a 12-year-old and I came back as a 20-year-old. Like I grew up so much, and my mechanic, he's like a good old boy from Florida, and there would be times where he's like, dude, I'm getting sick of you. Like, and he would be like, go ride your bike to dinner on your own. And I would, like, I'd be this, 12-year-old kid. I'd ride my bike in a place I didn't even speak the language and go to dinner by myself. And, moments like that where I was like, man, this sucks, like in the moment. And then looking back on it, it's like, man, that was so cool.
Has it changed your perspective now?
Yes. I mean, it definitely changes the way I got to see so many different cultures. I got to see so much of the world that, people usually don't see until, their old age after they retire and they start traveling the world. I got to see so much at a young age. And I definitely do think it just changes my perspective on, how to appreciate things.
Yeah.
I've definitely learned to, take in, everywhere I travel, whether I'm going to Des Moines, Iowa, or, no matter where I go, like I try to take away the good from every place I go. And that's one of the cool things I think it taught me is to just, I didn't appreciate as much as I should have. And I think that's changed the way I think about things now.
Yeah, I mean, that's something cool to take from that experience then, because obviously still so young with so much more to go. But yeah, bet you can picture yourself in the back of a van on your phone driving past like the Eiffel Tower or something.
Yeah, I know. I there's times I could be like, man, like why was I'm just like, gosh, I was such a stupid young kid. But there was a lot I did enjoy too. I mean, I got to see a lot, so it was pretty cool.
I did a road trip. The first time I was ever in the US, I was like 20, and then I met this chick, like full California chick. And then we drove all the way across the country, and I was in the back of this van on my phone texting this chick the whole time. And now I look back, I'm like, you are the biggest dipshit on planet Earth, bro.
Yeah.
I can very much resonate.
Yeah, okay, that's good. That makes me feel better.
We've all been there. Yeah. So what was the highlight of the karting in terms of performance? Did that kind of shape your mind as to what your ceiling or potential was as a driver?
I definitely, it started, I mean, the reason I even started traveling over there. So I won a championship in America, and
so you have won a championship.
I guess I won a small karting championship in America, and you get a ticket to go race in the world championship race in Europe and Italy. And at this time I had never been over there. And I didn't know what to expect going over there. And there was 164 kids in my class. I was 11 years old, and I went over there with no expectations. And I ended up winning the world championship. And nobody knew who I was. And my team never expected it out of me. Like, they were giving me the C-class stuff. Like, they were just giving me a cart and a motor and said, here, go figure it out. And I ended up winning. And then the team's like, all right, we want you to come back and do more races with us.
That's crazy.
And that's kind of when I started going over there more and more, and that's when I realized, like, man, maybe I do like have some sort of natural ability for this stuff. And guys like Kimi were in that race, and I mean, there were so many guys. I look back at that, the top 34 in the final. I look back at that list of drivers, and I'm like, man, like there are so many guys in this race that have made it to some sort of professional motorsport. But yeah, that really shifted things for me, and it changed my mindset of I'm doing this for fun versus, I think I can make a career out of this.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wild experience.
Yeah, it was crazy in the moment, like, because I had never, at that age, I had, when I was 7 years old, like, I'm like, man, I'm going to race an F1 one day. And then I get to like 10 and like reality starts to kick in. And I'm like, dude, I don't think, and my dad's telling me how much it costs to go race cars. And he's like, no, I can't do this. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe I don't have a chance at this. But moments like that give you hope. And it definitely showed me that I could do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're literally the age when most kids are watching cars.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And then you're winning a world championship in a go-kart randomly, basically.
Yeah. It was a very cool moment for me, and that definitely kind of changed the path of, what I thought I was going to do.
So how did you get into a kart to start with?
It's funny. So my dad, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is, kind of center of racing.
I was gonna say, you want to talk about just like the random luck in life?
Yeah, exactly. So
There's
my
some
dad
luck
worked
right
at Wells Fargo in Charlotte. So, he moved there in the 90s to go work in Charlotte as a business guy. And he always liked cars. Like growing up, he was always a gearhead and he liked cars. And, he had a single mother school teacher. So like he never had even money to go do something if he wanted to. So when I was 4.5 years old, I was playing soccer. My brother was playing soccer. My brother's soccer coach is like, hey, you should, try out this go-karting thing. He saw my dad drive up and one of his, I think he had like a Corvette at the time. And they started talking about cars and whatnot. And my brother's soccer coach is like, you should try out karting. There's a track down in South Carolina that, I take my kids to and they love it. And my dad's like, okay. So he sold one of his cars and bought me and all my brothers go-karts for Christmas one year. And that's really when it started for me. I would drive my kart, down the street in our neighborhood, and, he would have a rope attached to the back bumper of it to make sure I didn't drive off anywhere crazy. And that's how it started. And I never, we would go to the track on the weekends for fun as a hobby and, just as family time. And, one thing led to the next. I started racing, I started traveling. And yeah, it quickly became more than just something we were doing on the weekends.
So what does talent mean to you after the life that you've had?
I definitely think there is some form of natural, like just God-given gift. Because I see some kids, and I've worked, when I was racing go-karts when I was 13 or 14 years old, I would coach kids to try and make some money, for myself. And there were kids that you would see come in and, that you're just like, man, I'm trying to help you, but you just, you're almost helpless. There's definitely some kids I saw that came in and, they don't realize what they're doing is right, but they're doing it. And it's crazy to me. I think that's in every sport. There's kids who are just naturally, talented and able at what they're trying to do. So it's definitely something I think about a lot. Like just what is it that makes someone better than somebody else? Because at some point, I see guys that don't work hard at all and they're just good. They're just naturally talented. And then you see people that work, as hard as you possibly can and they're just not good.
I fit squarely in that category.
Work your tail off, not good.
Well, I mean, I just didn't even work because I'm like, bro, there's no saving you.
Yeah.
Just ride for fun.
Yeah,
Dude.
just do it because you love it.
Learn how to take photos because you ain't gonna do this.
Yeah. It's I definitely think about that a lot, but it's I definitely think there is some sort of natural talent, but I've definitely learned to appreciate talent, even when I see it in kids that are 7 years old when I'm helping them. It's cool to see, how everybody handles things and how everybody approaches things. And, I think about that one a lot.
So what are the manifestations of talent in karting? Like, what are the things, what are the traits, what are the things people do right? What are the things people do naturally?
I think just, for karting, it would be like, how somebody like takes a corner, like lines and, just being able to have the cart on the limit at all times through the corner. There's kids you see, they'll turn into the corner too early and miss their apexes, whatever it might be. And then there's kids who just are like robotic and, they always have the cart in the right spot. And they don't even realize they're doing it. Like, that's the funniest part. Like, a lot of kids are just out there driving off of instinct. And you can tell that some have the right instinct and some don't. And I feel like it's so hard to really tell these kids, like, to change what they're doing because they don't even know what you're saying. Like, at 6 years old, when I was a kid, like, you can try and help these kids, but at some point, like, they don't even, like, when they're on track, they're just out there, like, driving around. So, it's at that age, like, it's all just, I feel like it's all natural ability. Because, I mean, these kids, I remember when I was a kid racing at 8 years old, like, my dad would tell me, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. And then as soon as I put my helmet on, Yeah, exactly. So it's that's one of the things that's cool is just like getting to watch these kids go out there and just instinctually drive and figure out, are they good or not?
But I mean, the crazy part of it, like this is one of the things I'm obsessed with in a sense. And it was like one of my big things, even starting the podcast, was just like talking to people that had that, like had the thing I never had. And it's like, what is it? What actually is going on?
Yeah.
And, you know, you just said driving on instinct, right? You talk to Danny after like Baku and you go, bro, how the fuck do you do that? And he's like,
Yeah, I just did it.
He's like, you'd stand on the side. He said one day, he's like, there was, you know, they swap drivers in and out for FP1. There's like a certain amount of sessions.
Yeah, rookie sessions.
And there was a time where he watched FP1 on the side of the track. And he's like, I shouldn't have done that. I don't actually think that that's possible for me to
Yeah, how
do
am
that.
I doing that?
And then you go and it's just,
Yeah.
and just blasting, man. And you're like, even that is just instinct.
Yeah.
You know, like you can prepare and you can train and you spend your whole life doing it over and over and you get to the highest level, but at some point it's just instinct still. It's
Yeah.
that same 6-year-old that just has the thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. And yeah, the talent always rises to the top, like in every sport. And it's cool, like when you see, like for me, there's some kids that I watch that are a couple years younger than me. And like when I saw them at 6 years old, I knew they were going to be really good. And it's cool when you can see it at a young age and you see them grow and become, you know, who you knew they were going to be. So even like Kimi, like it's the same thing. Like I saw Kimi at 11 years old, 10 years old, and I was like, I know that kid is going to be somebody one day. And you know, guys like Arvid, same thing. Like he was similar to Kimi. Like, you know, you just see somebody at a young age and you're like, I know that one day they are going to be who I think they can be.
There's something that is very frustrating, and this would be one of the things that I would always think about, right? Because when I would ride, like technically I could do things well. And like if you looked at a photo of me, you're like, oh, that's a good, you know, that guy can ride good. But it just felt too fast. Like there was such a limit that I had to operate in to keep the technique and to keep doing things right. As soon as I started to try and go faster, it was just too quick. It's almost like brain processing, eye speed, and maybe, and when I've had conversations with guys about it, they're like, yeah, you might have just not done it enough as a kid. Like maybe when I didn't start riding properly till I was like in my teens, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe the development of your brain at a young age just has to start processing speed in a different way. Otherwise, it's like you just can't take on the information enough, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean that's definitely, you know, starting at a young age is so helpful because it becomes just natural at a young age. And that's I don't know why I started at 4.5, but I did, and I definitely think it's part of why I've gotten to where I am today and why I'm good at what I do. Because it's all I know. Like it's all I know. It's what I've done since I was, you know, since I can remember. And I think that's definitely part of it. Just being able to process things, and you know, you start out at a very slow speed. Like I didn't go over 30 miles an hour when I was 4.5, but you just learn how to process those things, and I definitely think that could be part of it.
So you win a karting world championship. That kind of gets you more seat time in Europe. Why NASCAR and why not follow Kimi Antonelli to F1? Is it because your dad's last name's not Stroll? Or how's that work?
Technically, yes. You know, that's part of it. You know, I had conversations with some of the driver academies in Europe, and you know, they're all like, yeah, like we'd be happy to have you. Do you have like $1 million? And you know, my dad's like, no. So I raced over there for a couple summers, and you know, I did well. I didn't win like huge world championships. I won a championship. It's called the CIKFIA Karting Academy Trophy. Charles Leclerc won it a couple years before I did. But you know, it's tough over there. It's cutthroat. It's expensive. You know, getting up through the ranks, and you know, the guys who have money, you always got to have money to start. Like every kid that races, you got to have something to get your foot in the door. And then the opportunities you find to keep you going is what really matters. But there's kids that can, get opportunities further down the road because of the money they have. But I could only, race go-karts. My dad didn't have money to get me really past that. So I raced go-karts and I loved it. And I wanted to race F1 over there. I loved everything about racing in Europe, but really just the money became the biggest thing. I couldn't get past where I was. So I came back to America. And like I said, I was teammates with Keelan, racing go-karts. I was probably 15 at the time. Racing go-karts is probably, 2021, when I really started talking to Kevin. And he's like, you ought to try this out. And at this point, I had never even raced on an oval. Like it was just...
Bro, 2021.
Yeah.
It's 2026 and you drive NASCAR.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's the thing. It's all happened so fast. 2022, I raced my first oval race. I start racing late models on short tracks. 4 years later, here I am, racing in the Cup Series. Like
that should not be possible.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's so hard to process it all because it's happened so fast. And like for me, I got signed by Trackhouse, and I got signed by them right at the end of 2023. So I'd been racing ovals a little bit, but I raced a Trans Am race with my team owner against my team owner. We were teammates actually, Justin Marks. And I ended up winning this race by like 45 seconds. Like I smoked him and I won this race. And that was really like the first time I met Justin. I'd known him before, but I really got to like be teammates with him and talk to him. And
he's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's very cool. Like he just loves racing. And after that, he ended up signing me. Partially because of that. Getting to be around him and race against him. It's just moments like that where, I didn't know what that was going to lead to. Like this was this one-off race I was doing, and I was teammates with him, and it led to me getting signed by the team I'm racing for today. So moments like that are crazy. And then, how I got kind of hooked up with Chevy. So I was racing go-karts, and Kyle Larson comes in and wants and does a go-kart race with us. This was 2021. This was his championship season. And he comes in and is racing go-karts, and he's struggling. Like this is, the highest level of karting in America. It's tough. It's different from what he's used to. And he's here, and he came with a couple like Chevy guys that have like kind of mentored him and helped him. And I was helping him because he was struggling. So I was like giving him advice off the track and stuff. And I meet these Chevy guys, and they're like, man, like we want to help you. So I got hooked up with Chevy, and they kind of put me in the late models. And those are the moments where it's like, man, like if I didn't go help Kyle and give him some advice, like I wouldn't have been hooked up with Chevy. Or if I didn't, go do that one Trans Am race and was teammates with Justin, I never would have been a Trackhouse driver. There's so many things I look back on in my career. I'm like, man, I can't believe that happened. That got me to where I am today. So it's pretty crazy to think about.
It is crazy, and it anyone listening, it's a pretty good lesson to just be a good human.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I got a friend that it's like my version of that. Like the guy's a multi-millionaire business guy now, and he's just done these like crazy deals, started from nothing, and has just done these insane deals and like built an empire off like randomly saying hello to a dude at a bar and just being like a fun, cool guy. And then that guy's got a thing. It's that butterfly effect of being a good human is one of the most undervalued and underrated things, because I don't know, maybe you just don't get to hear the stories of guys like yourself that really get to where they are off the back of just hard work and just being genuinely cool to people.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes, you never know who you're talking to. You never know, what that person, who he is or who she is, or, what their role is. So just always being a down-to-earth, genuine person, it goes a long way. And I've always tried to, my dad has always instilled that in me, and always be the person that people want to help. And, that's something I've always tried to do.
Yeah, that was going to be my next thing, is like obviously good parents.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, it's cool for them as well. 'Cause like 5 years ago, I thought I was going to go to college, and my dad retired a couple years ago from business, and my mom still works. She's an oncologist, so she works for a cancer research company. But yeah, both of them. My mom was an Olympian gymnast for Canada,
wow.
so that's where my competitive
Yeah.
blood comes from. But yeah, they've been along the journey the entire way, and my dad's invested a lot, and he's given up a lot to get me to where I am today. And now it's so cool to be able to have them come into these races, and as a first generation,
Yeah.
they there's no book for my dad told me this one time, because I was upset about something. He was doing something, or I forget what it was, but he's like, dude, like I don't know, there's no book to tell me what to do when my son becomes a NASCAR driver. Like, this is my first time too, and that's kind of when I realized, like, man, we're all in this together. Like, it's a journey for all of us. So yeah, it's really cool to have them along the ride, and get to share all the moments and the highs and lows with them.
Do you know what car your dad sold to get you guys the first karts?
He had this car, I forget what it was called. He would take it to the track on weekends, and this was kind of what started it. So he would take, I forget what it was called. It was like some like track built kind of car. And I have two brothers, so there's three boys. At this time, I'm 4. My brothers are 7 and 10. So like we're at the age where we're all like a bunch of little shits. And my mom would get left with all of us at the house alone on the
Take
weekends.
him out of the house.
Yeah. And my dad would go to the track and have fun on his own. And my mom's like, eventually my dad got a call from my mom on a weekend where he was at the track, and my mom is bawling, crying on the phone. Like, you can't keep leaving me with these kids. And that's kind of when he was like, man, I got to figure out something to do. And around that time is when he met talked to the soccer coach. And it was like a light bulb moment. He's like, I can still go to the track and I can bring the kids with. So, yeah, it was a fix for everybody. And mom was happy. The kids were happy. Obviously, we all got to go to the racetrack and drive go-karts. And, it worked out well. So he bought a go-kart for himself and all 2 of my brothers and I. And, yeah, it was a fix for everybody.
Have you got a plan to buy him a car back?
I one day I want to see him back out on the track again.
Yeah.
That's one thing, because I never, as a kid, maybe when I was really young, I got to see it, but ever since I started racing, he hasn't been able to go back to the track and drive again. And that's definitely something, he's probably going to be listening to this, but that's something I do want to see, because for all the shit he gave me throughout my career about how to drive, I gotta be able to dish it back a little bit.
So just watch it all go out the window.
Yeah.
Get like the radio and just be like, dude, you're blowing
What are you
it. You're
doing?
blowing it.
Yeah.
That would be such a cool full circle moment.
Yeah, it
though,
would.
to get him back out there.
Yeah. That's something I do want to do.
We can delete that if you want to keep it a surprise.
Nah.
Get him a bit of suspense going.
Yeah, maybe. Nah, he can listen to it.
How did you take to the oval stuff? Because obviously, tarmac, turns, a bunch of them on the go-karts, and then you move to an oval track, which is very different.
Yeah, I look at it, I'm glad, for me it's a little easier. Like Shane, he comes over. He's in his
He spent
30s.
a long time.
Yeah, and he's been doing the same thing for the last 20 years of his career. And when you switch something after you've been doing it for so long, I think that's tougher than like me, switching and I've been racing go-karts for a long time, but I feel like the young brain can pick things up sooner and figure things out. But like for him, you've been doing something for the last 20, 25 years of your life, and then you're told, okay, we got to switch what we're doing. It's a lot tougher at that age. So for me, I found it to be, it was tough at first. The racecraft is different. And the biggest thing, honestly, is like the people and the environment and like the way you talk and like the Southern aspect of it.
You got to wear boots.
Yeah, exactly. Like go-karting is kind of like wine and cheese almost, like and then you go to a short track and like the bathrooms are like it's just you go to these like shithole tracks in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, and you're racing. It's just so different. Like I think that was the biggest eye-opening experience for me, was just the people and
Wine and cheese to beer and Traegers.
exactly. It's different.
Yeah.
And I love it though. Like it's so. Have you ever been to like a NASCAR race?
Yeah.
So like the
Yeah.
people, like Talladega, for instance, is
I haven't. Oh, I've been to Daytona, but not for a NASCAR. I went with SVG for he did an Indy before he was like full time.
okay.
So that's the only NASCAR.
Okay.
I've been
Yep.
to,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. I know what you're talking about. So like Talladega is like the purest form of just America.
Yep.
And like that's like if you are a foreigner and you want to
Yeah.
figure out what like
The real
the
America
real
is.
America is like, you go to Talladega. And like for me, like growing up, I never thought I always was used to the, you know, rich parents, like it's just like snobby people. And then you go to like a NASCAR race and these fans like shirts off, drinking beer, like grilling out, like it's just so different to what I grew up doing. And then, you know, obviously racing like on ovals and stuff, it took time for me to get adjusted to it. But at my age, like I was already used to, you know, I started driving different things at like 14, like some dirt and just different cars and whatnot. So I was already used to kind of having to adapt to something I didn't know. So the oval thing came to me pretty quickly, and you know, I learned to appreciate it. You know, I definitely at one point when I was younger looked at it as something that I thought would be way easier than it was. You know, there's a lot more to it than just driving around in a circle, you know, 200 times. You know, there's a lot of skill that, you know, I didn't realize you really needed until I started to do it. And I feel like Shane would be a great person to talk to about it because, you know, at his age, it's got to be tough. You know, I can't imagine, you know, for him, and he didn't even get as much like grassroots kind of experience as I did. Like
he
came
was straight in.
He came straight from, you know, racing supercars and then gets thrown into, you know, the Cup Series against guys who have been doing this for you know, their entire lives. And, you know, you get no testing. I think that's one of the biggest things that's different from our sport to like two-wheel. Like, you know, these kids in two-wheel like are always, you know, at the track and training. And for us, we're not able to because now, you know, we're not allowed to test because of budgeting. You know, it's banned for us. So that's one of the biggest differences for, you know, even me growing up, like in the go-karts, like I would go to the track every week and just go to the track and rip laps for you know, fun and, you know, learning. And now all I get to do is race and you're not allowed to test it all. So it's definitely different and it's tough, like being young. And, you know, the only thing that is different between me and, you know, Kyle Larson is he has 20 years of experience more than me. And it's impossible to make that up, you know, without.
Yeah, even if
going
you
out there.
wanted to.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, as dedicated as you wanted to
Yeah.
be, and all right, I'm ready to put in 1,000 laps this week. Nope.
Can't. Yeah. So that's one of the tougher parts about NASCAR is just, you know, you can't make up experience. Like you can't make up for the lack of experience. There's no way to, even if you wanted to.
Was there a part of you at the start, you thought it was going to be easier than what it was, but was there any part of you that kind of like looked down on it as lesser than, you know, like the F1 ambitions, and did it feel like a step back?
I always like respected, you know, I always respected it, but I definitely, at first I was like, man, like NASCAR, like, do I really want to do this? And then as I started meeting people, as I started, you know, figuring out more so, like I was just uneducated at first. And as I started figuring out what it truly was, you know, that's when I realized like, man, this isn't what I thought it was. And I think that's the case for a lot of people, like fans and all the, like, they call them like Drive to Survive fans. Like they don't, you know, they're just like fans because of the Netflix show of F1 and they look down on NASCAR because, oh, you're just driving around in a circle. I think it's a case of as you start to learn more about it, you start to appreciate it because you start to realize what it truly is. And I think that was the case for me too. And as I met the people, like there's so many awesome people in our sport.
That was one thing that I was not surprised by, but taken back by, is when I went there to the race with Shane. I was just like, everybody is so nice.
Yeah.
And all the semis are stacked together.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one big line. Like the 4 semis down, all different teams, all different people, but you're kind of like in the same zone. So you end up mingling with so many different people, and just everyone was cool and everyone was nice.
Yeah, and that's also like different. Like something I think is different and unique about our sport is like the driver relationships. Like I feel like a lot of the sports, you know, whether it's stick and ball or whatever it may be, like sports are always seen as like competitors or like rivals, like not friends. But I feel like for us, all of us are like buddies in a way. You know, there's some guys that like are trying to be tough and they don't want to be friends with anybody, but you know, I feel like it's a very welcoming community, whether it's, you know, crew guys or drivers. You know, everybody, we travel. I mean, we're together 38 weekends a year. Like you would be pretty miserable to go to the track each week and be like, I am not going to talk to anybody. I'm here for myself. Like, you know, most guys, there's a couple that are, you know, they want to be the tough guy, but most guys are pretty chill and like, you know, you can be friends with a lot of the guys that you're racing against. And I feel like that's kind of different. You know, I look at, you know, like Hayden, like he's kind of one of the guys that's like, you know, I'm here for myself. Like I'm just here to race, you know, everybody else, you know, suck it, whatever. You know, I don't think we have like as many of those in our sport. Just, you know, most drivers are pretty down to earth, chill.
Do you know why that is? Have you got any theories?
I don't know. Like, I don't know why it is different. Like, I feel like a lot of the sports, maybe F1, I guess F1, I feel like all the drivers kind of get along a little bit more.
It's because them jets get expensive.
Yeah, they share them jets. Yeah, they do. They do. I don't know why it is. You know, I've always kind of wondered the same thing, like why different forms of motorsports, like the drivers have different relationships. But it's, I appreciate it. You know, I definitely think it would be tough to travel every single weekend with people you don't like. And that's one thing I always just want to be friends with everyone. Like I especially at the track, like I always want to be the guy people are going to stop and say hi to, or, you know, at least people in the industry. Like I always try to make friends with everybody because, you know, we are around each other a lot, and it would be pretty miserable to go to the track each weekend and not have friends.
I want to say a massive congratulations to the team at Fist Handwear, because starting right now, Fist is proud to be officially distributed in the US through a partnership with Parts Unlimited, bringing their gloves to riders all across the US. That means it is easier than ever to get your hands in a pair, no matter where you are. I've been banging on about how amazing Fist gloves are for the last 10 years, and now it's easier than ever for US riders to get a pair of their own. If you've heard me talk about them on the podcast before, but never tried a pair of your own, now there's no excuse. No matter what you ride, motocross, BMX, road, or even on the job, Fist has a glove designed for every condition, from blazing heat to icy cold. Apart from being the best performing gloves in the world, they also have a design for any flavor, from wild prints and bold graphics to collabs with some of the world's best athletes. And it doesn't just stop at gloves. Fist has moto socks, tees, hoodies, and hats, the full kit and caboodle. I've trusted Fist for over a decade, and I don't plan on changing. Do yourself a favor, join the Fist army today at fisthandwear.co, or head in to your local dealer and tell them that they need to start stocking Fist. You make it into the Xfinity Series, you have a lot of success. What was that experience like? Because again, it's just so short into this whole thing.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I knew that coming in, I was with a really good team. I had a great opportunity to go out and be successful, but I don't think anybody, even myself, had expectations for me to go out and win 10 races, you know, in 2025 and have as much success as I did, breaking records. And, you know, it was just it was eye-opening for me to, you know, kind of figure out what my ceiling was and what I could accomplish. And I knew that coming in, if I, you know, didn't have a great year, I had another year behind it. I was going to race an Xfinity in 2026 if I, needed more time to grow and learn and figure things out. And if I did really well, I knew I had a chance to go take, a seat in Cup and get to race in the Cup Series. So
Yeah, so you had no pressure.
yeah, I feel like I came in, I was like, man, like I'm just going to go out and have fun and learn. And hopefully, from the time I sit in the car at Daytona at the first race and then to the time where, I get in the car at Phoenix in November, hopefully I'm a better driver in November than I was in February. And if I can do that and get better throughout the season, then that's good. And I, my crew chief had me fill out he wanted me to guess how many points I would score at every race the entire year. And I had myself winning 4 races on this prediction sheet. So I had high hopes for myself, but like going out and winning 10, that was pretty insane. And, like at the beginning of the year, I would walk from the hauler to the driver intro stage, and like you usually walk by a bunch of fans and whatnot.
Yeah.
And like at the beginning of the year, I could walk straight to the driver intro stage. Nobody would stop me. Nobody would want an autograph. And then like at the end of the year, it would take me like 30 minutes to walk from the hauler to the driver intro stage, just because like people know who I am now. And I think that was probably the biggest thing that like changed from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, was just inside of the community, like how much my name grew and how things changed for me as a person.
And how did you change as a person through that process, do you think?
I feel like I'm still the same me. Like I that's one thing that I always, like, no matter what happens, like I'm still the 4.5-year-old Conor who started racing, and fell in love with it. Like no matter who I am or where I go, like that kid, like I'm still that same kid who just loves to race. And, I don't really let anything change me.
But in terms of like your expectations change, the schedule changes, like it's still a lot to deal with on a personal level,
Yeah. And that's one thing. Like I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm still a kid. Like I'm 19, like, I have a professional career, but at the end of the day, like I'm still a kid. I want to be a kid. And, I definitely think about that a lot. Like if I wasn't racing, like I would be a sophomore in college, like going to the bars every weekend. Like it's just crazy to think how different of a life I live because of the career I chose. And I remember in middle school when I still, like I did public school until 8th grade. And I remember like I would miss 45 days of school a year, and kids were always like, what are you doing? Like, why are you like missing
What are
school
you
to
up
race
to, bro?
go-karts? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Nobody understood it. And, so growing up, I got made fun of, and now those like same kids that were making fun of me, like are, texting me saying, oh, I just saw you on TV. Like, that's so cool what you're doing. So yeah, it's, I still want to be a kid, and it's a balance that I have to deal with every day of, I'm a professional athlete and I have a career, but at the same time, like I just want to sometimes go home and hang out with my boys and like chill and be a normal kid. And yeah, it's certainly, things have changed for me, and there's things I can't do now that I wish I could do, but it's cool, like getting to deal with that and having to, balance that, and it's a blessing to have that.
Yeah, like new levels, new devils kind of
Yeah.
thing, like new problems that you've got to face,
Yeah.
even though they're kind of good problems.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're breaking records in the Xfinity Series. Is there any part of you that is just like, well, I'm just going to break records in the Cup Series?
Man, it's different. Like every sport, like there's always the highest level and then there's the level below it. But like NASCAR, like the jump from the second series to the Cup Series, it's like astronomical. And I did a couple Cup races last year, and just kind of getting my feet wet and what it would be like. And I did 3 races last year. I was supposed to do 4 until I got hurt. But it was eye-opening to see how good everybody is on Sundays. Like it is pretty incredible, the talent jump from Xfinity to Cup. It was definitely something that I didn't expect to that extent. Like, I knew that it was going to be tougher. I knew that the drivers were going to be better. I knew that there were more competitive teams. But that jump is real. And, that's kind of why I'm hesitant to set expectations on myself, like going into this coming season. One, because like I'm not a big expectation guy. Like I don't like putting expectations on myself, especially in motorsports, because it's very hard to, because there's so many variables, like versus basketball where, there's no pit crew that can change your game. There's no, you're not driving a race car that you didn't set up that could, it's a
the other team doesn't get a different basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're playing with the same ball everywhere you go, and the only thing that it's you and the ball. Racing, there are so many variables. So that's one thing that I've kind of tried to stay away from. It's natural to have expectations for yourself. Like I expect myself to last year when I started winning races, I was like, man, I'm showing up to the track every week and I expect myself to win.
Yeah. And
it's easy to fall into that trap. But I do my best to stay away from expectations for that reason in our sport, because it's, at the end of the day, you can only make so much of a difference. And I feel like you can get yourself going down a rabbit hole pretty quickly if you start setting expectations on yourself and you can't meet those expectations because of something out of your doing.
So who's the youngest guy to ever win a cup race?
Joey Logano. He won one at 18.
All right, so that one's out of the window.
Yeah, so if I win at any time this year, I think I would become the second youngest.
What about the youngest champ?
Youngest champ is 24. Yeah, so I've got
Easy,
5 years.
Light work.
I've got 5 years.
Light work.
And that's been my goal.
We're getting that done.
Yeah, that's been my goal for like 3 years. When I met all the Chevy people and started getting, we started having meetings at the beginning. They were like, we want you to become the youngest cup champ. And, so that's been like kind of a long-term goal of mine for the last few years. And that's something like I've wanted to work towards. And I've gotten closer every year. But now I'm here and now it's just go out and do it. So it's going to be cool to get that opportunity to go out and race for something that I've been, dreaming about for a couple of years.
I feel like that's such a cool goal to have.
Yeah.
As well, like it's to have the goal of, I just want to be a cup champion one day. There's no constraints on that.
Yeah.
There's guys racing into their 40s. And
yeah.
So it's like,
I'm limited by time.
Yeah. You've got a window, but you've got a good window.
Yeah.
It's not like that. There's not weird pressure around that to where it's like, you've got to make it happen now.
Yeah. I've got a few years.
But you've got some years and I feel like that's a very wholesome, cool goal. And that would be an amazing thing that would be a really amazing kind of achievement to have. And that's the kind of achievement that changes the sport. Like if you get that at 21, 22, I mean, that's a seismic shift in what's possible as a NASCAR driver for future generations.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely lofty. It's not easy. But it would be, I mean, I set goals high when I do set goals, and that one that's a big one. So but it's not like I set that a couple months ago. Like it's been a few years now that's what I have kind of set myself, that's the thing that I've been looking towards. So it's the Cup Series is no joke, and it won't be easy, but I'm headed in the right direction.
So when you say that the jump is a big jump to make, what are the specific things that make it so challenging?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the talent. Like every single driver in the Cup Series has won Xfinity races, has won Xfinity championships, has won truck races, truck championships. Like everybody at the highest level is really talented. So first of all the drivers are really good. And then the cars, I think that's the biggest thing. Like in Xfinity, when you show up to the track each week, there's probably 10 or 12 cars that can win the race out of the 36 in the field. When you get to Cup, there's 30 cars that are capable of winning, 32 cars that are capable of winning. So you're racing against more guys every weekend, And, the guys you are racing against are also way more talented as well. So it's a culmination of those two things. But man, like it is every driver that races on Sundays will tell you the exact same thing. Like nobody realizes how big the jump is until you kind of witness it firsthand. And even in those 3 races I did last year, like it was eye-opening how different the racing was, from Saturdays to Sundays.
And what about physically, just being and driving the cars themselves?
The biggest thing is the length of the races. Like Sundays are long races. Like they average 3.5 hours. And when you're sitting in the car for like that long, it isn't even physical. It's the mental side of it. Like having to stay
100%.
locked in for 3.5 hours. And, I get my heart rate up to like 180, 185. Like, I know motocross guys, like those guys are pumping, but, it's for 20 minutes. It's a lot shorter. So, when you're after it for 3.5 hours, your heart rate's, pumping at over 160, 170. That's the biggest thing. Like the races are just like 50% longer on Sundays versus Saturdays, and that makes a big difference. And I did the Coke 600, which is the longest 600-mile race. I did that last year, and it was, I think, 4.5 hours long. And by the end of it, dude, I was just like, I was exhausted. And it wasn't even like my arms were exhausted. I was just mentally fatigued.
Yeah. Yeah, and the margin for error, I mean,
there's none.
You when you're in the middle of one of those trains, it's 3 wide.
Yeah.
And the thinking to like, okay, how can I even get out of this lane? How can I make a move? How can I stay in the right type of air right now? I mean, just you're talking inches at wild speeds, and your brain can only process so much information for so long before it just starts to make mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, everybody on Sundays is talented. Everybody is good, but like the difference is how strong you are mentally, like being able to stay focused for the entirety of a race, but just like keeping your cool for that long and not letting you can have so many bad things happen in a race and still win because the races are so long. Like if you fall off your bike, like it's tougher to come back from that. But like if you have a moment where you like spin out or something in a race, like your race isn't over. So being able to
stay in it.
Yeah, stay in it after, bad things happen in a race is important.
How do you train that?
Man, I feel like it's just you got to learn. Like you got to learn. You got to figure it out. Like at the beginning of this, even at the beginning of 2025, like I would have races where I would feel like I had to do something right now. Like I was like, I have to make this move right now. And by the end of the year, I started to realize like, man, I have a lot more time in this race than I realized. Like I don't need to rush these things. So I think it's just like firsthand experience. Like go out there and figure it out and realize, like make the mistakes and realize, how patient you actually can be in these races because of the length of them.
What about physically?
It's I would say the biggest thing is the heat.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it's not, you don't get arm pump. You're not like, the steering is pretty light. Like it's not tough, but the heat along with the heart rate, like that's the toughest part. Cause it gets up like upwards of 130, 140 inside the car. It's really hot in the car and, you're having to focus, it's mentally exhausting and it's hot and uncomfortable. It's just there's a lot that makes it like just tough. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like as a driver, that's what we focus on, like training, heat training and cardio and being able to like, we do things where we like sprint on a treadmill, get your heart rate up, and then go and do like sensory stuff, making sure that even though, your heart's pumping and you're exhausted, being able to still focus and do things quick and not lose, not lose your focus at high heart rates and when your body is strained.
At some point, you just got to be a dog too, eh?
Yeah, eventually it just comes down to being a dog.
Man, it's a wild thing to try and explain to people what that would be like. You know, it's basically
Yeah.
just like try and concentrate for 4 hours in an oven, and if you fuck up, you'll hit the wall
Yeah.
at 200 miles
There's
an
life,
hour.
life,
Life-altering
Yeah, life-altering
consequences.
consequences.
But you don't think about those in the moment.
No, that's the thing. You as a NASCAR driver, you can't, like, as any driver, you can't have fear. Like, fear is limiting, and you have to know. When you race 38 weekends a year, there's gonna be weekends where you're gonna crash. Like, it's gonna happen. And I've had that. I at Talladega earlier in 2025, I had a big crash. Fractured 2 vertebrae in my back.
Damn.
And those are the things that are just gonna happen. That, like,
Where was that at?
Talladega.
Really? What race was that? Can I watch that?
Yeah. It's, if you look up Talladega, Conor Zilisch crash.
Damn.
It was the last lap. I was
Really?
leading. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That was tough. That was a tough one. I'm the top. Yeah.
This is a cup race?
This Xfinity.
Xfinity. When you watch this, you can think about like what you could have done different. So talk us through it. Oh, there it goes. Too late.
That's the worst 3 seconds. Like, when you're spinning, staring at the wall, it's like the longest 3 seconds of your life, like waiting to hit the wall.
Exactly. Yeah, you're just staring at that thing.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that
Yeah,
I can do.
you can't do anything, but I was like, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. Boom.
So what happens?
So he goes, I'm at when you're at these tracks, you're literally just staring in the rearview mirror. Like, you're out the rearview, you're looking at the rearview more than you are the windshield.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Dude, imagine if we were back in the 70s and
that's what I like. That's what I think about. Like, and they were going faster, like in the 80s and 90s, because they didn't have restrictor plates. So, like, they were going faster than us with less. Like, they didn't even wear Hans devices or anything. Like, I don't understand how every single wreck didn't kill somebody back and they didn't have safer barriers. So, like, that wall.
Yeah, that would have just been a wall.
Yeah, concrete wall. I think about that all the time. Like, how did, like, that couldn't have felt good back in the day when they didn't have, like, all the safety stuff. But yeah, that was a tough one. I was leading on the last lap, and in NASCAR, as soon as a caution comes out, whoever's leading is the winner of the race. And at these races, like, there's always a caution on the last lap, so you always want to be in the lead. So it was my best friend too that actually spun me.
Was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And I was leading, and I'm staring in my rearview mirror, just waiting for him to make a move, because I know at some point, like, you always want to be in the lead. So the guy is always trying to make a move, and I see him start fading low, and I just tried to follow to block the run, and he didn't lift, and yeah. Those 2 seconds when you're just looking at the wall and you're just like, oh, this is gonna hurt. Yeah. It was the longest 2 seconds ever. But,
and that did hurt?
Yeah, oh my gosh. That, like, immediate, like, I broke my collarbone in August, and oh my gosh, like, the pain doesn't even compare. Like, the immediate pain.
You slipped and fell.
I know. I
hitting a
shit.
wall
And I was
too.
knocked out, so I had.
Did you get knocked out from the collarbone one?
Yeah.
Can we watch that?
Yeah, we can watch that one.
Wait, Griff. He's locked in. Griff. We gotta watch where do we find that?
Oh, that's everywhere. YouTube, anywhere.
Conor Zilisch.
Yeah, if you just look up my name, it'll probably be the first
Fall.
thing. If you just look up my name, it'll probably be the first thing.
So you won.
Fall. I won.
So you win. So this is like, oh damn, bro.
Oh, we got an accent on this one.
This went to Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so bad.
Yeah. Brutal.
Oh.
That's a tough one. Yeah, I was completely knocked out.
Yeah,
and I even started, like, fencing. So, like,
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
start, like, clenching your hands, I don't remember. So I was I don't remember anything. I remember the last thought I had when my foot slipped in the car. I was like, I'm gonna break my leg, because I thought I thought when my body went over and my leg was in the car, like I was gonna snap my leg. So I remember waking up. I'm on the stretcher, and I'm right in victory lane, and the lady's like, "We're putting you on a stretcher," or I wasn't on a stretcher yet. She's like, "We're putting you on a stretcher. We're putting you on a stretcher." I was like, "I'm fine," and my dad was right there. He said like when I first woke up, I was like, blah 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 blah, like couldn't even speak. And I remember waking up and she's like, "We're putting you on a stretcher." I was like, "Don't put me on a stretcher. Like everyone's going to think I'm a pussy." Like I was so mad at this lady who was just trying to help me. And it was, I didn't feel any pain until I got back to the infield care center, and they put a neck brace on me because I hit my head. They were like, if you have any, neck or back problems, we need to keep your spine straight. So I'm in this neck brace, and I start feeling like my collarbone. I'm like, man, my shoulder hurts. And obviously like the neck brace supports.
And it pushes down.
It pushes down on it. And I started like coming back to my senses, and I it was like immediate. I was like, holy cow, this hurts. So yeah, I told them, I was like, get this thing off of me. Like my neck's fine, but my shoulder. And at this point I still had my suit on, so they couldn't see anything. They had no idea. Like they didn't know it. They had no idea I hurt my shoulder. So yeah, I wake up and I start telling them like, get this thing off me, and they pull my suit down, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we understand now." But yeah, that was a bad one. But it went viral. It went completely viral. It was crazy. Like the Twitter and everything. Like I had friends from my childhood texting me like, "Holy cow, what did you do?" I had like 400 texts on my phone after that.
Dude,
it was wild.
Yeah. I mean, that's another record then.
Yeah. Nobody's ever done that one.
Most wins in an Xfinity season. First dude to knock themselves out in victory lane.
It was, I mean, I've talked to drivers, and like every driver thinks about that. Like when you're in victory lane and you stand on the car, like I've had times before where I was like, oh, this is sketchy.
So you're going to be a bonnet guy from now on? Like a hood guy?
I might. Yeah, I got to do side. I changed
like
it
a
up.
trademark thing now.
Well, in NASCAR, we have the roof hatch. So I
Yep.
started doing that, and it's a little safer. You can stand in your seat and come out the roof hatch. So I started doing the roof hatch, which was cool, to avoid the window.
Yeah, we ain't going through that again.
Yeah, we need a door if I'm gonna get out of that. And yeah, they got to put doors on these cars. But yeah, that was
Brutal.
yeah, that was a crazy one.
But the Talladega crash. So that comes after this?
No, that was April. This was the fall was August.
Yep.
Yeah. So I missed one race early in the year for my back. It's crazy. Both times I got injured, they were right before off weekends. So like the Talladega one, it was Talladega. Then we had 2 off weekends, and then Texas. I had to miss Texas, so I was out for 3 weeks basically for my back. And then this, I was out. We had an off weekend, and then we raced in Daytona. And I started the race at Daytona and then got out of the car at the first caution. Somebody got in my car, Parker Kligerman, and he ended up going and winning the race in my car, and it was under my name because I started it. So I started it for the points. So like if you start a race, you get the points for wherever the car finishes, no matter who's driving it. So I was racing for the regular season championship at that time. So they were like, you just got to get in, do the start. And this is like 10 days after surgery.
On your back?
On my collarbone.
Collarbone.
This is collarbone. So this is in August. So yeah, it was crazy. Like 10 days after surgery on my collarbone, and then right back to it.
Did you talk to SVG about that?
Yeah, a little bit.
He's been through that.
He had that one.
Yeah.
Yep. And I talked to him, and he helped with some like advice of like how to do your belts and your Hans, because that was the worst part. Like I had staples in my collarbone, and there was a couple days like they wanted the staples in for like over 2 weeks, and it was like day 8, and I was like, dude, if I have staples and I have to put my belts over the staples, like pushing down the staples into my skin, I was like, we got to get these things out. So I made the doctors take out the staples, and it was like healing quickly. So it was fine. But I got all the staples taken out, and the Hans device and the belts like over the collarbone, that was the worst part, like the most painful, like in the car. But after a few, I won Watkins Glen, and then I won the next 3 races after this. So I won Daytona, and then after Daytona, I think it was Portland. I won that one, and then St. Louis the weekend after that. So I won 4 races in a row while breaking my collarbone, and yeah, it was a wild time.
What a year.
Yeah, crazy ups and downs.
How was the recovery from the back?
It wasn't too bad. I didn't have to have like any surgeries or anything. I just kind of had to like rest it. And we were going to Texas, which is like one of the fastest tracks we race at. It's 1.5 miles, but it's super banked and super grippy. And you know, I could have raced, but at that point in the season, like I wasn't in the hunt for like the regular season championship. So, you know, I didn't think that I was like kind of going to hurt my season, which it ended up didn't even matter missing that race. But, you know, I had to sit out because if like I were to take another hit, you know, and re-injure it while it was healing, it would have been bad. And it could have really made a difference. But, yeah, the back pain was tough. Like it was even still like, you know, I fractured the 2 vertebrae and they healed, but it's still not like my vertebrae aren't the right shape because of it. So like I still have, I haven't got an X-ray recently, but like the doctors told me like you're never going to be 100% from that because they're not going to heal back to their original shape. But it is what it is.
Thought car racing was safe.
I know. It's supposed to be. Nobody ever gets hurt doing this stuff, but I found a way to do it twice.
Man, wild though. Crazy, and crazy to go on a run after that.
I know. That's the craziest thing. Like when I broke my back, or not broke my back, when I fractured my vertebrae at Talladega,
That's breaking you back.
Basically, yeah. It sounds cooler.
You can say that.
Yeah. After that race, I finished top 5 for the next 18 races and set like a new. It was the longest consecutive top 5 streak like in the history of the series. And then when I broke my collarbone, I won the next 3 races after that. So like every time I got hurt, like it made me better, which is crazy, but it's cool.
That is crazy. I am one of the people lucky enough to say that motorcycles has given me everything. This is my dad, Pete. Like so many of you watching, I was given this love of 2 wheels by my father. My job has taken me to the other side of the world, which means riding together has become a much tougher task. This is where Destination Yamaha comes in. I flew Pete to the US for the last round of Supercross in Salt Lake City and told him to pack a helmet. I logged on to DestinationYamaha.com, picked the state and the type of bikes we wanted to ride, and landed on a 2-day trip with Grit Moto Adventures on the T700. This is the ultimate arrive and ride experience, and we spent 2 days riding hundreds of miles in the Utah backcountry.
It is unreal, amazing, beautiful part of the world.
Winding dirt roads, through picturesque national parks, challenging climbs, and after over 50 years on 2 wheels, Pete finally got to ride through snow. These 2 days riding gave us more 2-wheel memories that we'll never forget. They say it's about the journey, not the destination. And there is truth to that. But in this case, it was also about the destination. Destination Yamaha. You must be excited that the sport is transitioning to the street course era too.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of a real thing for you.
It's awesome. And even like, you know, for me, like those tracks are always my best. And me and Shane, you know, I raced against him in Chicago, which was a street course this past year. And he came down and did the Xfinity race. And it was like the 2 of us. And then like we were like a second faster than the rest of the field. Like it was crazy because we're like the only ones that have actually done that form of racing. I've done a good bit of it before I got into NASCAR. But it's so fun. Like street racing and like racing between concrete walls is the most fun racing there is. And yeah, we're doing San Diego this coming year on the naval base. It's in June or July, Parker. Is it June or July? June. Yeah.
Dude,
so
I'm in
Coronado.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll race there in the summer. But yeah, that one's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, that'll
I'm
be
excited
super
for that
fun.
one. Yeah.
So yeah, you and SVG are kind of like the boys in that, really.
Yeah, road race, like all the road racing, like the two of us, and we're teammates too, which makes it cool. But yeah, he's done a lot to like get the cars in a really good spot at all the road courses because he has so much knowledge on like setting up road course cars because he's, with the supercars, he's done it for so long. So, yeah, I'm getting in after everything's been set up the right way. So it'll be fun to
Cheers, Bo.
Yeah, thanks, dude. It'll be fun to get to, race against him and all our cars we have really good stuff on the road courses with Trackhouse. So it's going to be really fun to get to do that this year.
So speaking of racing other vehicles, Daytona 24, you and Brad Pitt are teaming up, or?
Yeah, Daytona 24 is coming up. Yeah, that race is it's like my favorite race of the year. And I won it once, and I have a Rolex, and I think that's what.
Oh, you got the Daytona?
Yeah, the Daytona.
What
the
face?
Rolex.
What face are we running? What combo?
It's a two-tone white face Daytona with the gold accents. It's sick. It's sick. I was never like a watch guy, but when
Until
I
you got that, and then you're like,
I was like,
okay,
man, I don't mind this. Yeah, I like this whole watch thing.
Have you got any others since?
I haven't. No, like I feel like I can't one up that. Like I would need.
Oh, you could.
I could one up that. I could definitely get better, but I got to get some bread before I start buying watches that are nicer than the Daytona.
You need to find yourself a lot like an AD. And just go in now, dude. I'm telling you, go in now. The wait lists are long. Just get something easy. Get a little starter watch, and you got to start building because you'll get to a point where you'll want them.
Yeah.
And then you won't be able to
You
get
can't
them.
get them.
And then you'll be paying retail. You'll be paying off market.
Stupid money, yeah.
And you want to be paying retail.
Yeah.
So get in there.
Get in
early.
now and then.
Order yourself a one of your youngest ever championship watches,
Yeah.
do it now, and it'll be like a
Then-
couple of years till it gets in. It'll just the timing will line up right.
Predict it. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
But
I gotta get on that.
Yeah, because if you want them
You
in
gotta
the
get on the
moment,
list.
then you get hammered.
You're gonna
So
pay for it.
just go to the Charlotte Rolex dealer, walk in with your Daytona, just be like,
Yo.
have that thing flashed out. And they'll be like, okay, this guy's serious.
Yeah.
And they'll get you on you'll get a guy, he'll text you, he'll become your friend.
Yeah.
And
It was crazy because I went to the jeweler close to my house to get links removed when I I was 17 at the time, and I walk in.
That's so
I know.
sick.
I walk in the jeweler by myself, 17 years old, with this Rolex box, and whenever like you win a watch in like a sporting event, the box is bigger. It's like a showcase. So the box is bigger. So they had never
it's
seen
like the big rectangular one instead of the square one.
Yeah. So they had never seen it before. So I walk in and they told me it was fake before they opened the box. So I walk in with my Rolex Daytona that I just won at the race, and before they even opened the box, they're like, "This is not real. Like the boxes aren't this big ever." And I was like, "No, you got to open the box and look." And then the guy opened it and like called over all of his like coworkers, and they loved it. But at first they were like, "Yo, this thing's not real." It was a funny.
Dude,
funny,
that's a
funny
cool.
experience.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
Because that whole world, it's so that.
Yeah.
To have that. There was a friend of mine. He's like a wealthy Aussie businessman, and he like sold a bunch of companies and whatever. And we'd always go to Vegas. And he was like a guest of the Bellagio.
Mm-hmm.
They owned a Supercross team at a time.
Okay.
And they'd always stay at Bellagio at the guest, and they have the Rolex store in the Bellagio. And he walks in just looking like an Australian bogan, and he's got more money than Jesus.
Yeah.
And these guys just refused to talk to him.
Yeah, he's so unassuming.
Yeah, and he just like walked in, had a look around, and they like didn't want to let him in. And then I was just like, man, you guys have
Little do you know.
you have no idea.
Yeah.
But that's that whole world.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But there's something very cool about those watches, like just mechanical, old school.
Yeah, it's classic.
The way that they work, it's timeless. Like that Rolex design has been copied by every watch brand, and like you will be able to give that Daytona to your kid. They'll be able to give it to their kid.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing.
Yeah, it's definitely number one on the trophies that I've won over my years.
Imagine if you get two before you've ever bought one.
I know. Well, I gotta do it this month. So hopefully, but
So this month is the
yeah, so
Daytona
it's
24.
January 24th and 5th.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I've got a Aussie on my team,
Who is it?
Earl Bamber.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
He was buddies with Shane for a long time, but they grew up like racing against each other. He's a good dude.
So you, him, and Brad Pitt.
Yeah, no,
What a team.
I wish I was racing with Brad Pitt.
Dude, how cool was that movie?
The movie was sick. It was sick. They did a good job. I mean, like, it's always tough. Like, as a racer, like, you always watch these movies and they're so fabricated. And you're just like, man, like, they could have done a better job. But, like, that one was, like, as a driver, it was watchable. Most of the movies that, like, they're trying to recreate, like, racing, it's just like, this is so fake. It's, like, unwatchable. But that one was at least, like, you know, I could see this. And it was, they did a good job, like, making sure that as a real true like race car driver, like a true enthusiast, like a fan, like it still could be appreciated by us.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you can't, if you want something that's a true to spec reflection of Formula One racing, just watch Formula One. They just race a ton. But there was entertainment, there was story, and technologically, like I don't know if you know much about how they shot it, but it's like it's all real footage.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I remember like I went to the Vegas F1
Vegas.
race. Yeah, and they were like fully filming at the like in between sessions at the track, and then I was at Daytona when they were filming like all the endurance racing stuff, and it would be like 2, 3 in the morning, like on practice day for us. Like they're out there filming and fireworks are going off. Like I'm like, man, this movie is gonna be sick. Like I can't wait to watch it. So it was cool to kind of see like bits and pieces of them filming all of this stuff, and then like actually seeing it all in the movie and how it played out. But yeah, they did a good job.
And I loved that. I loved that the story came from Brad Pitt's love of racing and love of the sport, you know, because when you look at, you kind of can't say it now with F1, like it's one of the biggest sports in the world. But before that, it's like we as a racing community just didn't have that representation on that level, you know. But there's so many guys that are on that level that love this sport and appreciate this sport, but no one had ever gone to the effort and made the investment to kind of put our sport or our community on that kind of pedestal. And I think the storyline, like the racing side of it, the young guy with the talent, the manager, and that's very real. And then the old guy that knows about teamwork, like it was quite real in the sense of the characters that were at play. You know, as cheesy as some of it had to be a Hollywood movie.
Yeah, no, they did it. That's kind of what the same way I felt about it. Like it was a movie. Like it was still like some things were like, yeah, that's Hollywood, but most of it was true and you know felt real as a driver.
So trying to win this year in the big class. What are those cars like?
They're
so
different.
You're racing is it the Cadillac?
Yeah, so it's the Cadillac hypercar. So it's so different. It's my first time ever driving a hybrid. So hybrid, you know, you have all the different systems, the brake-by-wire. So all the braking it's a lot different.
Do you have much feel?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's just like
just a sim. I
the
guess.
Controls. Like there's so many. My teammate Fred Vesti, he's a Mercedes F1 reserve driver.
Yeah.
So he does like a bunch of test sessions.
Yeah, he's got a lot
stuff.
of experience.
Yeah, so he's been in the F1 cars a lot. He says the Cadillac, like the controls are more difficult and harder to understand than the Mercedes F1 car.
Really?
I've learned a lot from just like getting to experience, you know, having so many controls inside of a race car. But yeah, everything is so confidential. It's pretty crazy.
That's wild. So what are those things changing? It's just like a lot of standard stuff.
Yeah, like a lot with the hybrid system, energy, and then you can change so much with like the braking. So you can change like obviously the brake bias, and then you can change like the migration. So like when you hit the brake, the initial hit, like it changes throughout the brake zone how much the bias shifts like from front to rear. So like in the middle of the brake zone, you can change where it migrates, how much it migrates. You can change how much the diff opens. Like in the middle of the corner, you can change how much the diff opens in the brake zone. Yeah, you can change literally everything. It's pretty insane how adjustable the car is.
And so on a lap time, let's say you just nail it, the perfect lap in terms of tech and getting the most out of the car. What's that worth in terms of time?
Man, it makes a big difference. Like you can really mess things up, and you can make things a lot better throughout, just having the controls that you have. But usually, like throughout practice and stuff, we'll get things to kind of like a happy spot where, in the race, you shouldn't be touching things.
So then
much.
everything's like pretty well automatic.
Yeah,
once you're set
usually
up.
like once things get set up, you try and get it to a point where like you don't have to change it much, because you don't want to have to be thinking about all that while you're driving. So I mean, you might change it every now and then. Like if you really are struggling, you have tools, but you try not to have to use it. You try and get things to a point where like you're pretty happy with it and you don't need it.
So how much time do you get in this car?
A good bit, more than I'm used to. That's
Really?
for sure. Like
Yeah.
with
Well,
all the
yeah.
NASCAR stuff. So we've done 2 tests already. We did a test at Daytona, and we went to COTA. We did a test at COTA in Texas.
That
And
had
then
to
the
be so
Roar.
fun.
So yeah, it was a good time. The Roar is the weekend before the race. It's like 5 practice sessions. There's 4 drivers. Each session is like an hour and a half. So you get like 20, 30 minutes per session. And there's like 8 sessions in total before the race. So it's a good bit of seat time. But like without it, I would struggle so much because it's so different. And usually, like, honestly, like for me, I don't struggle with like new cars and adapting to different things. But this one, like, it's been the toughest for me to like figure out and learn. I've had to really focus to try and figure it out and learn and get up to speed, especially because my teammates are really good.
What makes it so tough?
Just like how different it drives because of the hybrid system and the braking system and everything. It's just very unique to, it's just different than what I'm used to. I've never driven a hybrid car before, and that makes it drive a lot different.
So how does it feel?
It's honestly pretty, like, it's minute differences, but it's enough to like, man, this feels weird. But it's
Command
not
your
like,
attention.
yeah, it's not like it sticks out at you, but it's just in the brake zone, things are different with all the migration and tools you
It's
have.
just like moving, like you
Yeah,
can
it's
feel
just-
it.
it's just
shifting.
different.
It's not like one-to-one.
Yeah, it's unique. And
And NASCAR's so analog in comparison.
yeah, you can change the brake
It's like an
bias.
Apple Watch versus a Rolex.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's really cool getting to experience it and try and figure it out and learn. And the 24 Hours of Daytona is such a cool race. Like, it's one of my favorites that I get to do every year. I've done it. This is my 3rd year doing it. So yeah, I'm pumped.
At 19.
Yeah, I'm pumped. It'll be cool. And then this is my first time in the top class as well. So I've always been when I won it, I was in LMP2, which is like, it's a prototype, but it's like one class down from GTP, which is the Cadillac. And then I did it last year in a Corvette, which is GT3. So yeah, this is my first time in the hypercar class.
No way.
It'll be fun.
That is so cool. So Cadillac has an F1 team.
Yeah. I'm making the connection, right? Yeah, I'm so excited to see how they do. I mean, it's going to be tough at first, but to have an American team in the sport, it'll be really cool. And Colton Herta, he's going to try and chase. He's racing F2 this year to try and get super license points to race for Cadillac. So it'd be cool to have an American driver back on the grid, hopefully soon. But yeah, maybe one day I can get my foot in there.
Yeah, how do you balance that? Because you grew up racing karts and you grew up on that path and you grew up beating guys that are now at that level, but then there's also a love and passion that you have for NASCAR and goals and aspirations to be one of the greats. Like you're already there. you already have the pedigree. So it's like you could become one of the greats in that sport, but there's also just so much out there. Like that's got to be a lot to balance.
Yeah, that's kind of like for me, I'm so happy with what I'm doing and like I love what I'm doing. So, I want to get kind of established with what I'm doing first before I even think about like trying to go somewhere else. Like I want to, be successful here. And if I do that at a young enough age, then maybe I'm like, okay, I can, Colton, he's like 25, 26. He's pretty young, but he's been in IndyCar for six years or so, maybe a little longer than that. And he's gotten pretty established. And now he's taking the risk to go race in Europe and race F2. And, that's when I think, you get to the age where you're, able to give up what you have currently to go chase something else. Like for me, like I'm so early on in my career, like I have so much time ahead of me. I want to do this for now. And then maybe one day, like if I, feel like I have a chance to go do something else, then maybe I would. But, it's tough to like just kind of watch it and let it go and not do anything about it. But,
it definitely would.
Yeah.
Especially just with your pedigree.
Yeah.
The background that you came from, it was so that direction.
Yeah.
But you didn't have $1 million.
Yeah.
It's like, pretty soon you will have $1 million.
Maybe go do it. Yeah. No, I've definitely thought about it, but like I love what I'm doing here, and it's a lot of fun, and I want to enjoy it and do it while I can, and I can always chase dreams later.
You know who else has a Formula One team?
Which one? Oh, RB. I know.
Bull.
I've been asking them to put me in a car, but
just be like Liam, dude. Just chill for a couple days. You do your thing. Go hang out with your chick.
Yeah.
Just give me a seat.
I got this. Yeah. No, I've wanted to like at least like hop in a car like on a show run or something and just get to drive it, but it'll happen eventually.
Know anyone that helps out with show runs? He's just like, shut up, dude. Get back to doing that.
It'll happen one day. One day.
That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It would be maybe one of, let's say you do get to like find your way in that. That would be maybe one of the wildest career arcs of all time, dude.
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff like I want to race the Indy 500. I want to do. There's so many things that like I want to do before I stop racing.
You know Carson Brown?
Yeah. Yep.
Just race everything. Race everywhere. Just do the whole. Just do the whole. Just tick all the boxes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pretty sick, dude.
Yeah.
What's got you most excited for this year?
Honestly, just like racing every weekend. Like I love the idea of that. It can get exhausting quickly, but like racing, I mean, I'll do 40 weekends at the racetrack this year. So, I mean, it can get tiring and it can get, it's a lot, but like 11-year-old me would be so stoked. So, that's kind of what I'm most excited for is just to get to race every weekend and wake up on Sundays and race every week and just have fun. Like I don't want to put too much pressure on myself at my age and I don't want to burn myself out. Like if I struggle one weekend, then, I struggled and I'll learn from it and figure it out. But, I don't want to put so much pressure on myself to the point of where like I start to burn myself out.
And it's just not fun.
Yeah, I don't want to make it not fun. Like I'm having fun and I want to keep it that way. And it'll be tougher because, the result, like I won't be finishing as good as I was finishing last year. Like I'm not going to go out and win 10 races. Like nobody wins 10 races on Sundays. But if I can be happy, finishing, wherever I finish and just having fun, trying to enjoy it while still like pushing myself to be better, that's really the goal.
Where are some of the best NASCAR races? Like if you're a fan and you want to actually go watch a NASCAR, what's the 5 best races they could go to?
I would say the Daytona 500 is awesome.
When is that?
It's February 15th.
I wonder what Supercross is on that weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. But that one is, like, as a fan, that one's awesome.
It's the week after Phoenix for us, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to a Daytona 500.
It's awesome.
That would be sick.
Yeah, if you want to come, let me know.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
What Supercross is on that weekend? Griff? what Supercross is on the Feb 15th? I'm not going to all of them,
Yeah.
so I need some shit to do on the weekend.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be that one, Talladega. Like, as a fan, Talladega is awesome.
Yeah.
Just to, like, go to the infield and party with, like, all the fans.
Yeah.
And, like, it's a good time.
Lumen Field, Seattle. I ain't going to Seattle. That would be the worst, bro. Seattle, February 20
Oh, that
or February
sounds
13.
freezing.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to pull that off, dude. Yeah, so Talladega is another one.
Yeah, Talladega, Daytona. Those two are awesome. The Coke 600 in Charlotte, Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
That one's pretty cool. Man, like, all of them are, like, every race. Darlington's pretty cool. I would say those are, like, 4 good ones. Like, Daytona 500, either of the Talladegas, the Coke 600, Memorial Day weekend, and Darlington. The fans are cool. Did you see Druski, his white face, like his skit?
Pull that up. I think I did. I've been off the gram for a while, so I've missed a bit, but I think I saw that somewhere.
It was hilarious.
Dude, he's the best. Did you watch with him and Timothy Chalamet?
Yes.
Bro. He is so good.
Yeah, there
Yes, dude. This is unreal,
this is
bro.
Darlington.
Here's the love. Here's the honor. If you can't come in her, come on her.
Oh, what?
Dude.
That is so heavy. What an animal.
Yeah.
So that was that, right?
Yeah. That's Darlington. That's a good one. It's southern.
Yeah. It's like
But it's cool.
It's an OG.
Yeah, it's been around for forever. But there's a lot of good ones. Like, you can.
I think I might be in for that. You want to go to Daytona 500? I'm in.
Deal.
We got to go to. We got Daytona Supercross.
Yeah.
Dude, you'll be busy. You race too much.
I know. I race every weekend.
Yeah.
I know, that's the thing.
But Anaheim this weekend.
I know. I get one taste
Dude,
of it.
You got the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what everyone says.
Dude, I had a business one of my business partners in the electrolyte company. He came to A1 last year, watched Supercross his whole life, like from Australia, came to A1, and he goes to like UFC,
Yeah.
he goes to so much stuff, and he was like, dude, that was unreal. The only bummer is that it starts early,
Okay.
that it's just not dark. You don't
Yeah.
get like the full,
Nighttime.
but man, like dusk, the sun starts to
Yeah.
go down, the fireworks come up, opening ceremonies. But dude, as far as like racing, and I say this I think I was saying this to you the other day, Parker, that it's special in the fact that you see the whole track in your lap. Literally
Yeah.
in your lap, you have the entire track, all 22 guys, and they are sending it.
Yeah.
And the crowd is so invested
Really?
in A1. It's just it's an amazing experience. The stadium is awesome. The fans are awesome. And I've been thinking about this more and more about what makes Supercross so great and what makes the fans so great. So many of them ride at a very high level.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many guys out there that ride every weekend that could jump all of the jumps on a Supercross track. They're not going to be able to race, and like there's stuff that they're not going to be able to do, but they can relate in such a different way. And it
Yeah.
might be what makes NASCAR so great, is that so many people could relate to that exact experience. But yeah, the Supercross fans, dude, go hard. It's
Yeah.
the NASCAR. Like, I'm interested to see what you think
Yeah.
of the crossover, but
Yeah.
it's an American sport.
Yeah.
as
I'm
well.
pumped. I'm pumped. Where are we gonna watch like the 450 main event from? Don't know.
You know the right people.
Yeah.
We'll just say that.
Yeah.
You'll end up with a good view.
All right.
Dude, I'd go up into the cheap seats too for a bit.
Yeah.
Like move around.
Experience
if
it.
you can, like move around.
Yeah.
Like even up in the nosebleeds is sick.
Yeah.
But you'll probably end up in a suite somewhere eating some chicken tenders and
Yeah, that'll be good. Hot dogs.
yeah. Dude, this has been awesome. I wish I didn't have a hard
All
out.
good. All good.
But man, crazy
Thank you.
Hear about your
Yeah.
career and your life to get to this point. Let's do it again after your first Cup championship.
Yeah, there
we
we
do it
go.
again. Maybe we'll do it again at when you get your F1 seat or something like that. But I'm excited to watch this space.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna come to the 500, let me know. That'd be fun.
I think we just made a bit of a plan. So
Okay. Good deal.
Conor Zilisch, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Pleasure.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.